I can't believe that.
We're going to test it. Start with the fader low. Bring it up. Nothing? Little hawk, we ran down.
Welcome to Danger Signals. Full title, Danger Signals on the Advantages of a Nervous Breakdown. Shortened for the fuller title, Danger Signals on the Advantages of a Nervous Breakdown or a Few Neurotic Symptoms. Shortened from the fullest title, Danger Signals on the Advantages of a Nervous Breakdown or a Few Neurotic Symptoms of certain men under 40 years of age. We decided to cut that last section in order to not unduly, even accidentally, even unintentionally add to the already disproportionate amount of attention given to men under 40 years of age. Certain men under 40 years of age. And so it became danger signals on the advantages of a nervous breakdown or a few neurotic symptoms. And then we decided to cut that middle section on account of it sounding sort of wishy-washy, perhaps, or unscientific. It sounded sort of like something that might be unkindly offered in a scribbled note by a lazy or overworked doctor in lieu of any real diagnosis. Any real diagnosis, leaving you to take the bus home once more, unsolved and without solution. And so, it became danger signals on the advantages of a nervous breakdown, which we shortened, as you'll notice from your programs, folded neatly in your laps with no rustling, thank you, thanking you in advance for no rustling. We decided to shorten it again once more when it came time to pay due attention to the arguably insignificant elements of marketing and demographic and an oversaturated, underinterested audience base. Because, according to our focus group, which is comprised largely of strangers and volunteers, as it must be said for full disclosure, our focus group felt that danger signals might be, could be, must be sexier. Which is, of course, the grand aim of all things. That's why I'm wearing matching underwear under this outfit that was selected for me. That's why, when I turn around later to face the blackboard, to draw a absolutely scientifically accurate image of the human brain in chalk, on chalkboard with two hands, a 2-inch stick of box fresh chalk in each, when I turn around to complete this, frankly, astounding act, which must have taken hours of practice for weeks and months and years. When I turn around to successfully complete this act of scientific entertainment, your eyes will be drawn down towards my ass, towards my too tight skirt that was provided in the dressing room this morning. Everything is sexy. Everything is entertainment. I'll stop talking soon because that's unnecessary, it's distracting, unnecessary and not sexy. It's distracting from the story, which is a story about men, about certain men, and about the things they do. Welcome to Danger Signals. The front cover of the Walter Freeman biography by Jack L. Hyde refers to the notable proponent or father of the American lobotomy as a medical maverick. Now, a maverick is an unorthodox or an independent-minded person. It's also a baby calf. When Walter Freeman was a baby calf, he grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and answered to the name of Walter Freeman II. Walter Freeman I was his father, and for all intents and purposes, if not a loser, then certainly not a hero, a GP, a family doctor, someone who dealt with common colds, not brains. Walter Freeman I doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Now, Wikipedia wouldn't be invented for centuries after Walter Freeman's birth, but it is important to live each day as though it one day might be recorded and scientifically distilled to a series of zeros and ones for bored college students or underprepared theater makers working to deadline. Walter Freeman I's own father, whose name was actually William Williams Keene, William Williams, was the first American brain surgeon, and at various times, and through the employ of 6 American presidents. 6. Who can even name 6 presidents? Please don't try, this isn't that kind of space. Walter Williams Keene, categorically not a loser, has a Wikipedia page. Walter Freeman II, who we will now refer to as Walter Freeman, or Maverick, or Mav, grew up with a keen awareness of what it meant to be a loser and what a man must do to have a Wikipedia page, which is, incidentally, a website created and edited largely by men, whose taken largely as fact content is updated and generated by 87% men, which, according to the New York Times, is attributed to women's general unapparent willingness to, quote, open to very difficult and high-conflict people, even misogynists. Walter Freeman studied medicine and doctoring and science, and some time passed, as it is wont to do when you are learning a real skill. He began to dress like a showman, and wore all sorts of funny hats. He carried a cane he didn't need. He started to think about his appearance. He thought about, and with the brain, he thought about what it would be to be a man. And so he decided to move to DC and join the neurological department of the hospital. He saw what was being done and not being done. He thought about being male and a hero and having a Wikipedia page. He thought about being a man who solves more than the common cold. He wanted to do something. And while he was doing all this thinking, he also learned to draw a scientifically accurate image of the human brain in chalk on chalkboard with 2 hands and no looking. It was impressive! It was also a little, besides the point and unnecessary, but it was attention grabbing and attention holding, and that is probably something you should know about a man who wears all kinds of different hats and carries a cane he doesn't need and wanted to leave a real big mark on the world.
I confess to a lack of ambition. I confess to a loss of care, to selfishness, artlessness, boredom, and I confess to darkness looks. I confess to impure thoughts and emotions. I confess to seeming unseemly. I confess to feeling unfeeling, to lack. I confess it seems to cracks and fissures, chips are gum, cracks and fissures in the mail rolls, and the TV advertises. You gotta replace those collar rings before they shatter out in the floor. I confess to imperfection. I confess to unsmooth edges and the smell of melted plastic broken hair. I confess to standing in the sink with 6 hypothetical future cleaning fluid, ocean waves, hardwood forest, tropical windstorm. I confess to leaves in the hair.
Now, on the other side of the world, war is coming. War is coming, and it feels like we just got done with war. In Europe, at least. In Portugal, which would become the first country, it would have remained officially neutral in the Second World War. In Portugal, which was the first country in the whole world to decriminalize the use of all common drugs. In Portugal, a neurologist with a severe side parting by the name of Igaz Moniz is also thinking about the brain. Now, we're not going to spend too much time in Igaz Moniz on account of him being Portuguese and a Portuguese drug user, probably, and this being an American show about American heroes and American fathers. But it is probably fair to say, to mention in passing, in fact, at least, that Mr. Moniz, Senor Moniz, was, if not the father, probably, then perhaps the grandfather of the modern lobotomy. The William Williams Keene to our own very much loved Walter Freeman. The first man, Mr. Moniz, to take a small instrument, similar perhaps to an apple core for the bakers in the audience, or a tiny spoon for the amateurs among us. He would take that small instrument, that tiny spoon, and use that instrument, that sharp, tiny spoon, to cut and sever and scrape inside the brain, and to cut away and out the bad bits. It's a beautiful instrument, the leucotome. Similar perhaps to an eyelash curler for the ladies in the audience. Mr. Moniz did this cute little apple cutting peel to 40 or so patients to start with, 40 brains. And he said, yeah, it went all right, okay, all right, nothing to complain about, really. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it? Nothing to complain about? Truthfully, in truth, if truth be told, Senor Moniz was not the sole inventor, the grandfather, or not the only grandfather of the modern USA American lobotomy. through the invention of the European leucotomy, which Freeman would later encounter, rebrand, remarket, and sell as his own American-made to the target markets of his choice and opportunity. Because he too, Monez too, was influenced by another source, thank God, American source, Sir John Fulton of Yale University. I have a note to hold for applause, which I will not disobey. Sir John Fulton, who was not in fact a sir at all, but it can be for the purposes of this presentation, and also to add greater weight to his acts, which simply amount to the scientific stabbing of a monkey, 2 monkeys, Becky and Lucy. Give it up for Becky and Lucy. Becky and Lucy, everybody. If you're expecting actual monkeys, there are no monkeys. There will be no monkeys. This is an academic context where there are rules and boundaries, and you are expected to use your own imaginations, use your own goddamn prefrontal reasoning to not expect to not be handed everything on a plate, every monkey on a plate. There will be no monkeys today, and certainly not these monkeys, Becky and Lucy, who passed some short time following Archduke John Fulton's glorious experiments in cutting and trimming and inserting foreign objects into organic matter and wriggling around, dumb and blind in the dark. Becky and Lucy, who had their skulls drilled clean by an absolute hero of a man in fresh, clean scrubs and a smiling face with eyes that I don't like looking right up past the left corner of the photo. Becky and Lucy, who should have been grateful, really, must have been grateful if gratitude and sincere and meaningful gratitude can even be felt by a stupid, lolling female chimp, should be grateful to Lord Mayor Senior John Fulton for rescuing them, for saving them, bringing them out into the light of day, reprieving them from their previous behaviors, their unacceptable behaviors, which included, once again, to Wikipedia, rolling and shitting on the floor. What the fuck, Becky? What in the actual fuck, Lucy? I mean, really, girls, ladies, really. Don't you know that is the worst, the most unruly, the most unacceptable behavior on the book? Rolling and shitting and running around like animals in a cage? That's why we can't refer to you as the grandfathers or godfathers or ancestors of savage modern medicine, even if it was your sweet brains that were sliced. We can't. I'm sorry, ladies, don't look at me like that, because my mind is made, because you rolled and shit and probably got cranky at the time of the month, and your brains were passive, not active. They were receptive receivers. They were the object to be pierced, but not the object. So then, afterwards, after Signor Dauphin Fulton had the grace, the goodwill, the godlike intellect, and aptitude to cut you open with a pizza slice with extra olives. After that, after you had time to recuperate, time to calm down, time in the afternoon for your movies and your soaps, didn't you feel much better? Jack D. Pressman, another fucking man who wrote a fucking book, referred to it as cult of happiness for you, Becky. Lucy, I don't know about you, because your narratives were not recorded. You became a secondary female character, a best friend to Becky. An ugly, plain best friend to Becky, the newly minted member of the... Fuck! Any of this is all about trying to find a